Hello guys, this is Triplet99C here, and I am going to be doing another tutorial for you all. So I made another poll on DeviantArt, and the decision that was made this time was a tutorial on how to do shading and lighting, which is cool. It'll definitely give me a lot more to explain about than the last video, so this video may be just a little bit longer. Also, I just wanted to say a quick little thingy. I'm leaving links to all of my social media in the description and such. So, yeah, feel free to check that out. Still trying to get my first pledger on Patreon and such. So, if you would like to look at any of my social media, feel free. I post different stuff on each thingy. Also, regarding Patreon, I will not be posting this video on there. I did with the last video, but it's really hard to reduce the file size and such. Like, the biggest file size that Patreon will let you upload for videos is 200 megapixels or 200 megabytes. Yep, megabytes, sorry. But these videos are obviously not 200 megabytes. They're a lot more. They're over a gig. So, I cannot upload them unless I reduce the file size, and that takes a very, very long time, and I have to use a website in order to do that, and the website only lets me do about 5 videos. I don't know if it's every month or if it's 5 videos and then bam, you're done, that's it, but I really don't know. Like, I only have 4 videos left that I can reduce, and I really don't want to use them all up, because then that means, well, I can't post videos on on Patreon anymore, which would kind of suck. So for this one, I'm not going to be posting it on Patreon, simply because I really don't have Patreons on there anyway. So I'll definitely be uploading other stuff on there though, like work in progresses and line art pretty soon for you guys to print out and color and such. But other than that, this video tutorial will not be posted on there. I will most likely post the other one on there though. Alright, so now that I have rambled for about almost 5 minutes, I assume, I will be going into the tutorial now. And so, like I said, the choice was made for me to do a shading and lighting tutorial. And my last tutorial was about the tools and paint tool side. So if you see me working and you're like, wait, what the heck are you doing? What is that? You can check out my last video, and I'll leave a link for that in the description as well, so you can check it out. Alrighty, so I will be teaching you both shading and lighting, as you could probably tell from the title. And this is because you have to learn both at the same time in order for this to work. Like, you can't just learn just shading or just lighting both at different times, because that's not really how a drawing works. A drawing has both, and they both work together. Like, the more lighting you have, the less shading you have. And yes, the more lighting you have, the less shading you have. I said less, right? And then the less lighting you have, the more shading you might have, or it might be an equal balance of both. It kind of just depends on the environment mostly. So, we are going to be learning about the different kinds of shading and lighting depending on environments and lighting positions and stuff like that. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a few circles. These circles are probably going to be pretty dang bad because I don't have a circle tool in here. Let me just copy and paste this a few times. Maybe. There we go. So there's another circle. I'll put this one over here. And another circle. And one more. Alright, so here we have 4 circles. They're circles now, but they will be spheres later. I am going to put all these together. And in order to do that, to put all the layers together, all you just do is you click Control E. And there you go. They're all connected together now. They're not separate layers. Alright, so I'm going to make another layer to add the sunshine thing. So I'm going to make it in orange so that it looks different, stuff like that. So for the first one, I'm going to put the lighting right overhead. And this is going to count as the sun. Like it's going to go out like this. For the second one, I'm going to make the sun or light over here. I'm going to make it shine like that. Third one, I'm going to put it over onto the right instead of the left. And for the fourth one, let's put it right under here so that it kind of just goes out like so. And the reason I'm drawing arrows is because lighting doesn't really have like just one ray. It doesn't just go just boop, that's it. Like it goes throughout a whole wide span. And as you can see, that's why I drew 3 different lines, because that's just what lighting does. So I'm going to be doing this in different colors, I guess. Yeah, let's do it in different colors. So let's highlight each of these circles, create a layer underneath. So I'm going to make this one up here red. That's a very bright red. I'm going to make this one green. I'll make this one blue. And this one can be pink. Alrighty, and then it's best if you make another layer above that one for the shading. Now for this one, this is going to be more realistic shading, so I'm going to be using soft shading, and I'll do another tutorial later on if you guys want me to about the different kinds of coloring and how to do them. But for now, I'm just going to be doing soft shading. Alright, so first of all, we're doing the red circle, and as you can see, the lighting is way up ahead. It's right above the circle. And because of that, the darkness will be at the bottom. Keep in mind, this is a sphere, so it has to be rounded. The shading has to be rounded in order to make it look rounded like an actual sphere. And then in order to make it soft, you're going to get the blend tool, which in this case I just clicked L because I set it up that way to have keyboard shortcuts. And you are just going to blend it. So as you can see, it's already starting to look circular. You may want to add even darker shading below that because no light is hitting this section that I just colored in at all. There's absolutely no light there. So we're going to shade it in. And then we're going to make a darker shade, so pink, because that's pretty much the lightest shade of red. And we're going to put a little bit up here. Okay. And since the lighting goes from here to here, I'm also going to put it a little bit on the sides, not just on the top. And then we are going to blend that as well. Now I'm not going to do just circles. I'm going to do a more complex figure later on so that you guys can get the gist of that too. Alright, but I'll explain that more later on. And then let's make a layer underneath layer 3 right here. This will be our shadow layer, and so using airbrush, we're going to get a dark gray here, and since the light goes right above it, it'll just be not that big. It'll just be a circle like so, and then blend it out a little bit. And there's your first circle. Now, as you can definitely tell that this does not really look totally like a sphere, but I mean, yeah, if you get rid of the line art, it's better. So I'll get rid of the line art later, but for now I'll just keep it on there, so I'll be able to select it easier. Alrighty, now for the green. So the light is on the left side, and so let's make it dark green here. The lighting will be on the right side, but make sure once again that it's curved because this is a sphere. Now, since this lighting isn't too strong, it's sunlight, like the shading will go a little farther out. But it'll be blended too, so it'll be lighter. Like it'll be blended on the ends as I'm doing right here. Then you can get a darker shade and do that on the far right because no sunlight is hitting there. And you can do some on the bottom too because there's really no sunlight hitting there either. Blend that out. And then make a light green, so let's do neon green, even though it's probably gonna look pretty bad. We will do the lighting right here. And it'll be kind of above right here that I'm just drawing on a little bit because of the path of the light. And so then let's blend it out again. So there's our second circle. And let's create the shadow. So with this, dark gray again, with this, since, like I said earlier, the lighting's on the left, the light will be, not the light, the shading will be going towards the right side. Now it'll kind of go underneath the circle a little bit, because that's where the circle is resting. And then it'll just be circled. Like so. And it'll kind of go out to the right a little bit because the sunlight is pointing in the left direction. And then yeah, when you get rid of the line art, of course, it's not going to look that good because the line art is thick. So let's just leave that there. Alright. So now for the blue circle. Select it. And now it is on the completely opposite side. So do basically what you just did with the light shining on the left side, but except just do the opposite. Draw the darkness on the left side. Blend it. And make sure that when you blend it, it's kind of gradient too, because yes, there will be some harsh light or some harsh darkness or shade, but like for now I'm just doing gradient. But it also kind of depends, like, once again, on like how the figure looks and all that kind of stuff. I was trying to say jazz and stuff at the same time. So okay, and then the light sorry, is on the right side, so you'll draw some lighting there. Do a little bit above. And then just blend it. So there's your blue circle. Well, I don't know why I keep doing black. And then just like the shadow in the past one, you're going to do a little bit underneath the circle because that's where the circle is resting. And then extend the shadow to the left. Blend it just a little bit because this is kind of more of a harsh shadow, but like the farther out it goes, of course, the more blended it'll be. So here's our third circle. And now for the fourth one. The fourth one will be a little more difficult, but that's good. You always need challenges. Alright. So select the pink, make it a darker shade, and because it's coming from underneath, the shading will be on top. Blend that in. Now, a lighting cannot come directly underneath unless the object is like floating or something, or unless there's like a head where like you're shining like a flashlight under your face. If you can see, there's lighting on your cheeks, on your brow bone, like on your chin, places that lighting usually isn't. But yeah, with this, let's just say that this ball is floating because that's the only way that lighting would be directly underneath it, of course. So let's make it a little darker, create a little darker shade up here. The only time you will have a shadow is if the object is on the ground, mostly. I mean, yes, there will be a shadow if it's hovering a little, but in this case, the lighting is directly behind, I mean, not behind, underneath. So, there will not be. Actually, yes, there will be. My mistake. So with this, let's just say this is kind of the example of where, let's say you have a ball sitting in your room. Your room is completely dark, okay? And it's sitting on the floor. And you shine a flashlight just right in the middle of it. Like so. Let's blend that. So this is like, let's say this is a flashlight, okay? That's the light. And it'll be the lightest here, because that's where you're shining the light. It'll also be the lightest in the middle, because that's where your flashlight is kind of hitting it, okay? And so, there we go. This one's a little more tricky, because most of it will be shaded. So let's get rid of some of that shading, because there will be very, very little shading if the sunlight or like flashlight or whatever lighting you want to use as an example is shining on there. So there will just be a little bit, just a little bit. And let's get some white, put it here to kind of emphasize that point a little bit. So as you can see, I kind of changed the lighting example for this one. Whereas the other ones, it would just be like sunlight or something. With this one, it's going to be a little different. So once again, let's go back to the example of you're shining a flashlight on like a ball. And it's on the floor against the wall. And so with this, because the lighting is shining directly from like below. So like let's say you put your flashlight on the floor, shine it on the ball. The lighting would go kind of above it. Like so. And as you can see, that's obviously not a good circle. But to like further express my point, let's say like, yeah, this is the floor right here. This is the ball. Of course, there will be a little bit of shadow, simply because the ball is resting on the floor. But that's about it. So here we have 4 circles here, 4 different examples of light. And I know, like, they're just simple examples, they're just spheres. It would have been way easier with cubes, because with cubes, there's like different values on each side of it, and they're all harsh because there's no curves or anything, it's all flat. So I didn't want to do cubes because, well, that'd be a little too easy. So here's your spheres. Get rid of the line art, and as you can see, it's pretty dang crappy without the line art. So, alright. Now I'm gonna erase these circles and begin doing the more advanced thing. So feel free to look at this for a few more seconds. Pause this if you need to. And now I'm gonna erase it. Alright, now for this, I'm just gonna draw something quick. I'm gonna draw the same kind of character I drew last time, which was, of course, Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles. But I'm gonna make him more complex, I suppose. So I'm gonna like line this and everything. I'm not gonna do a lineless drawing because it'll take me way too long, but lineless drawings are great to emphasize like shadings and lightings and stuff. They do take a while to learn too. Like I'm obviously still learning about shading and lighting for lineless pieces. It takes a while, and like there's a lot of different coloring styles that you can do with lineless pieces. Alright, so let's draw his eyes now. I'm not trying to make this perfect or anything either, it's just quick. Actually, I'm going to make his mouth open so I can shade inside his mouth. Show you guys that. Just kind of make him smiling. Freckles. Bandana strap. Alright, now let's line it real quick. And I also briefly went over the line art tool in my last video. I probably won't do a video on line art because it's just, there's really not much to talk about. So while I am doing this, I'm going to explain the line art tool a little bit more. So at the line art tool, you can't really find this anywhere else. Paint Tool Sci has its special own little line art tool. And basically, like I kind of mentioned in the last video, you just kind of just press points and it creates smooth lines for you. Like I said, you kind of have to create it yourself, but like you don't have to worry about it being different sizes or like different pressure things. I don't really know the exact word, but yeah, doing this line art tool is very nice. It makes your line art look professional, especially when you use the pressure tool, which I will be doing shortly. And it just gives you, you know, really clean line work. It's very nice when you're doing commissions as well because it makes the piece look more professional and such. It's very good for like fake screenshots and such. Like it makes it look more clean. I've already said clean like probably 10 times now, but yeah, you get the idea. The line work tool is very, very helpful. I only found out about it maybe like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. I just stumbled upon it thanks to a stream I was watching. Like, this just proves that no matter how long you've been drawing, you'll still always have questions. Like, short little story time, I was on a live stream, and I saw that this person was just making line art, just bam, there it was. Like, it was just so fast and so easy. Because at the time I was doing line art free-handed, just on my own. And it was really difficult. And it would take a really, really long time. So I was like, hey, how are you doing this? Like, is there like a tool you're using? Because I can't find this tool on my Paint Tool side. And he's like, oh yeah, it's called the line art tool. I was like, what the heck is the line art tool? And so, of course, I found it. And he and like the two other people that were on the stream, I can't remember who exactly were on there, and yeah, so that's how I learned how to do the line art tool. You will always have questions as an artist, no matter how experienced you think you are. Let me just try and draw pupils real quick. Once again, I'm not trying to make this perfect. Just trying to make a pupil, dang it. Alright, good enough. So as you can see, these pupils kind of suck. It's bothering me really bad. Alright, close enough, I guess. But, yeah, so here is a quick Mikey. Scale this a little bit, and I also kind of went over the scale tool just a little bit in my last video. Alright. Delete the guidelines. Okay, so now for this, you have to start thinking of art 3-dimensionally. Even if it's not 3-dimensional. It doesn't matter. So, it does not matter. So let's create a layer underneath the line work layer. And before we do that, I'm just gonna change the pressure points. See, the pressure tool makes it thinner. This won't take me too long, just a few seconds. Just to make it look a little cleaner, even though I really don't know why I'm doing this, because this is just like a practice sketch thingy, pretty much. Okay, there we go. So create a layer underneath that line work layer. You can use this with like any character drawing or whatever. So I'm gonna make it cyan, so it's pretty dang easy to see. So I taught this technique to a friend of mine who was well, actually I taught it to a few friends of mine who were kind of wondering about like proper shading and stuff. And so I explained to them you have to think of this 3-dimensionally. So like if you're looking at a 3D model, you see that they have like those grid lines, right? And so those grid lines for 3D models, they just kind of show that, hey, it's 3-dimensional. Like yes, it's 2D, of course, because it's on a computer. Well, unless you print it out, of course, that's a different story. But like those lines kind of show, hey, yeah, this figure is supposed to be 3-dimensional. That head's a sphere, not a circle, and that body is a square, not a, well, it's a cube, not a square. And they have lines to show you like the different ways of how it's curved, how it's 3-dimensional, stuff like that. And so I told my friends that yeah, I was like, hey, so you gotta start thinking of this 3-dimensionally. So I just kind of showed them this. You have to start making guidelines to show how it's 3D. And so with this, his head is curved, as you can tell from this line right here. It will curve like this. So that's his head, goes in, and then goes out with his, I guess it's a snout. I don't really know. And that's pretty much his head. And it's less curvy the more you go in. As you can see, it's more curved out here. And then you just keep going. And then you would make horizontal lines to kind of show how else it curves, as you can see. So it's a little more curved here. It goes kind of in here, in here, in here. And since this is a flat surface right here, his bandana straps, I'm not gonna worry about those. So then with this, his neck, of course, is rounded. So let's draw curved lines. It's fairly straight, except for some curves on the end, so straight. Kind of think of this as kind of like Spider-Man's suit. He's got, like, you know, those curves on his suit that kind of show like how his shoulders curve, how his neck curves, how his head curves. It's pretty much just like that, if you think about it. So then his shoulders curve like so. And then his plastron is just straight. So this will kind of show you, this is straight too, so I'll just draw straight lines. So this just kind of shows you how it's supposed to be 3-dimensional, okay? And then it'll kind of show you like how to make shading or where to place shading in order for it to look more real, like more real shading, like shading that's like not inaccurate. So let's color this real quick. I'll just do flat colors really fast. So bucket tool, boop, boop, boop. Then the eyes, let's do white, even though it's already white, boop, boop. So I'll probably put a background on it just in the end, just to have fun, whoop-de-doo, and then this bandana, orange, boop. And then his eyes are blue. Where's blue? There it is. Wrong layer. Yeah, you will do this a lot as an artist. You will get different layers all the dang time. Shells brown, dark brown, boop. Teeth are white. Shell is, well, plastron's kind of yellow. No, his plastron's more orange. Boop. And then black here. Dark red for inside of mouth. Or you can use black too, either one works. Alrighty, so now here we have a Mikey. You can do that little eye glint thingy if you want to. There we go. Alright, so you have a little Mikey here. And if you lower the opacity on here, you can see that, hey, the guidelines that we just drew are still here, and I'm going to make these darker because so I can see them. Alright, so as you can see, hey, the guidelines are still here. So yeah, if you want to keep those on there while you're drawing, like if you want to lower the opacity and still look at them, you can. For me, I really don't need these because I already kind of know, but for the sake of this video, I'm gonna lower the opacity for the flat colors, and I'm just gonna leave it on there. So let's create another layer. And I do not do shading all at once. I do different sections. Like I start with the skin, and then I do the mask, and then I do like the eyes, or the plastron, the shell, blah blah blah. So skin is the biggest part, so let's start with that. Raise the brightness real quick. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Lower it back down. Alright. So for this, once again, I'm going to be doing soft shade. Or I might do cell shade, because cell shade kind of works too. But no, let's do soft shade. Alright, so for this, his head, you know, curves out. And so let's just say, I'm not going to deselect this, but let's say the lighting is about right here, where I'm moving my mouse. It's right there. And then you're just going to curve it out. And if you have ever seen Ninja Turtles, especially the 2012 version, like they kind of have a shadow underneath their snout. I still don't really know the word for that. And blend it. And blend in a circular motion when you're wanting to make gradients. Now let's do a little bit of shading underneath his mask to kind of show that it rises up a little bit. Once again, this is not going to be perfect by any means. This is just kind of just a sloppy little example. And then some shading here. And then there will be shading underneath his collarbone. Blend tool. As you can see, I'm only blending on the outside. I'm going inside the shade a little bit, not too much though. And then you might want to go to black to do the shading underneath the chin, because that's where it'll be darkest. And since the light is shining from here, here, the shading from underneath the chin will kind of just go to the side a little bit. And once again, that just depends on where exactly you're putting the shading. And so let's make the darker areas to where lighting doesn't really hit. Okay. More shading here. Alright. Yeah, once again, I'm not gonna sit here and do a piece for like 3 hours just to show you, oh yeah, this is how you do advanced shading. No, like that'll just take way too long. So I'm not I'm not doing that. I might do that at some point, maybe in like a speed paint or something. We shall see. Alright, and then next step after that is lighting. So let's do really, really light green. And go over the parts that have light. There will be some light here. Light on his shoulder. And then light by his snout. I still don't really know the word. Then blend it. You don't have to blend it too much. And bam, there it is. And if you raise the opacity again, as you can see, you have some shading there, and it's a little sloppy because, you know, I'm not trying to be perfect here. But yeah, that's basically it. And so then I'm gonna lower the opacity again so you can see my guidelines that I drew. Darken it to brown and start shading again. And this here will pretty much be shaded too, as well as his eyelids, and probably a little bit by the nose. Let's blend that some more. I will give full credit to Nickelodeon in the description, I promise. Ninja Turtles does not belong to me. Make it darker and shade the darker parts, which would probably be underneath the mask tails. And once again, it's curved. So here-ish. Blend it. And then lighting once again on a different layer because it just kind of makes it easier. Get a lighter shade. Just shade the parts that you need. Which will kind of be like around his eye too. Because yeah, there will be some light that hits here. Not much though. Or not much light that hits on this side. Raise the opacity and there we go. So yeah, as I said earlier, shading's not perfect. But for the rest of this, I'll probably just speed through it. Alright, so I am finished, and as you can see, of course, it's not perfect by any means. So let's raise the opacity again. So as you can see, yeah, here's just where the shading has been placed. Stuff like that. It's, I just did, pretty simple shading because I didn't want to go, like, all out or anything. But, yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to shading. It all just depends on how you think of it three-dimensionally. And if you need to draw those guidelines that I drew, whenever you, are doing, like, a shaded piece, then you go right on ahead. You do you. You do whatever you feel needs to help you and such. And so, yeah, if that helps you, go ahead and use it. It's not really my technique too much. I mean, it is a little bit, but you go right on ahead. I don't mind if you use it. You're not stealing from me or anything. Yeah, that's basically it. Like I said earlier, I shaded in soft shading. You can also do this in cell shading just as easily. Except all the shading will be harsh because it's, well, meant to be that way. And yeah, that's it. So, if this video was helpful for you all, feel free to leave a like and a comment. You can go on ahead and say what you would like me to do next if you would like. Otherwise, I will hold another poll on DeviantArt for you guys to vote there. If you guys follow me on DeviantArt. I will leave a link for my DeviantArt below. As I said in the beginning of the video, all my social media links will be there. And if you guys would like me to do a tutorial on different types of lighting, no, not different types of lighting, excuse me, different types of coloring, then you can go ahead and tell me that on like here, DeviantArt, Instagram, I don't care where. Yeah, so different types of shading, different types of lighting. It all just kind of depends what the atmosphere is, what the lighting color is. In this case, it's white, but of course you could have done something crazy like red or yellow or blue, whatever. And it's really cool what you can do with lighting and shading when it comes to different colors and such. Also, another thing that I do with shading, I don't use black a lot of the time, which in this case I didn't use black either, I just used a darker version of the color. I sometimes use navy blue, which you can see right here. I use navy blue for cell shading mostly to give it more of like a, I don't know, and just have different colors in there, and it makes it look really nice. So yeah, you can use that if you want to. Just lower the opacity, of course. You don't want like harsh navy blue shading, of course. But yeah, that's basically it. That's all there is to it. And if you need to practice some more with like spheres or cones or whatever, that's how I got started. So I mean, you always have to start small. Don't just jump right in to a big thing. Just watch more tutorials and study. That's all I can say. Alrighty guys, so this is all for this tutorial, and I really hope that this helped you guys, and I will see you in the next one.